Hello. How is everyone tonight? Thank you for coming to join us in with this Children Arise podcast. We're just really happy to have you here tonight. We're going to just pause for a couple of minutes while people assemble and join us. We thank you for being part of our podcast tonight. My name is Andrew Banman, and I'm going to be both the host and also part of the presentation team. And Peter, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name's Peter. Really happy to be with you again. Thanks, Andrew, for leading this evening or this morning, in my case.
Great. So we're gonna just chat here amongst ourselves for we'll just give it a couple of minutes for people to get in. We'll start at about 3 minutes after 7. Hoping you guys are all out there and ready and raring to talk about a family reset. There's the buzz phrase tonight for the Arise community stuff that we're going to show you tonight. We're in the middle of a reset. Our last session was on reuniting and stabilizing families, and tonight we're going to strengthen, educate, and help them thrive. Looking forward to sharing a lot of information with you. So we hope that people are joining in. Hello, Patty Miller. Great to have you in there, Patty. Did you know that I'm in Victoria today? Peter's in Uganda, and it's 4:30 in the morning or 5 in the morning for poor old Peter. But I'm here. So Patty, I'll reach out to you. It'd be good to connect. I'm at Connections Church this Sunday, so I'm hoping some of the Connection guys are gonna pop in. Hey, Lydia. Yeah. Lydia, where were you at church at Lifetree the other day? Maybe you were busy working or something. But it's good to see you joining us. I imagine my mom and dad are out there, and so I think we're going to. Yeah, perfect, great. Okay, so I think we're gathering an audience, and it sounds like our audio is coming through just fine, and video looks good. So I think we're going to get started. Joanne, welcome. That's great. Who else do we have coming in here? This is great. What a fantastic turnout. Well, it's now, time is it? 7:03. So I think we should jump into things, and we're going to jump in with a recap anyways. I'm just going to quickly recap what we've been doing. So we've been talking about this family reset thing, and I've just kind of put this graphic up here to show you guys the contents of a family reset. Reset spelt wrong, of course, because we needed an extra S. But we're essentially trying to help families move from completely broken. Last week we talked about children who are abandoned in our community. And in an abandoned situation, we need to reunite those families. Obviously, those kids are in serious risk and seriously vulnerable at that point. So there's a process we go through to reunite the families, to track down the mother or the father and reunite those children with the mother. It's obviously there's no time when having young kids as young as like 2 and 3 with no parent. There's no time that's a good thing. So we go through that process, and then we set them up with a very simple home and what they need to get started in a small business, and then we move through some stabilization where we get them paying their bills on a regular basis, and the point here is that we want this family to get to the point where they can stand on their own 2 feet and they can remain together. I think I shared last week that mothers. This is a pretty terrifying decision for a mother to leave her kids, and to get them back together again and get them to the point where they no longer are at risk of having a family breakup is the point. So I want to start today, if I can, by just showing a quick video of the community. I thought this would be kind of neat because it's just interesting for people to be able to understand the community that we're working in. So let me start this video up. Terry and I live in a slum community called Kosovo. About a year ago, the unimaginable was brought to our attention. Mothers were abandoning their children. Many fathers had already abandoned their families months or years earlier, leaving mothers to try and care for their children. As people lost work through COVID restrictions, these mothers also lost their work of cooking, cleaning, and washing clothes for neighbors. With no hope and no money to feed their children, the mothers also left, hoping that kind and generous neighbors would share what little they had with the children. The Arise Community Program, with the help of Andrew and Prosi Wezwa, have been identifying these children, tracing their mothers, and reuniting families. We can't stop there, however. Arise Community works with these mothers to find a small room to rent, some basic food, and start a small business. You impact the lives of these families. Your engagement transforms these broken homes into a place where children can have hope and a future. Thank you for being our partners, and thank you for being good neighbors to these struggling families. Your investment in the Kosovo community is changing lives every day. It's a good little video because you get to see some of the streets in Kosovo. You'll notice at one point my car had to drive up kind of onto a wall in order to let a truck come past, and it's tight quarters, and it's ugly and dirty down in there. You're going to see a little bit more in a video in a little while of Stella, but I just want to reiterate what is a family reset. A family reset is where we reunite, stabilize and strengthen that family, and then educate so that they can thrive. So that's what's going on there tonight. Tonight, what we want to do is we want to expound on strengthening, educating, and getting families to the point where they're thriving. You know, it's not really adequate for any family to just barely make it, and that's what a lot of Africans face. They face kind of a situation where they're subsisting. They've got just barely enough to survive, and that just puts huge amount of stress on the family constantly. So the goal in our work is always to get them to the point where they can truly thrive. And you know, people don't have to be rich to thrive. They just have to be able to meet their bills. So, Peter, I just want to get you to jump in here. I have a question that I'd like answered, and so I'm just going to ask you this question: do these families, do they end up just depending on Arise, or you know, how do you take a family from completely broken to the point where they can stand on their own 2 feet, or is this just about a handout?
No is the answer to that question. No one becomes dependent on Arise, and we work really hard on that point, because to fight poverty, you've got to fight dependency. And so we help these families not to depend on us, but to stand on their own 2 feet, to depend on themselves. And how do we do that? Well, people need work. They need jobs. So we help them create a business for these, especially for single mothers, and it's part of the restoration process that the families go through, because there's dignity in work, and mothers begin to believe in themselves again, trust themselves, and have hope for a better future for themselves and their children. So the key word is work. We come alongside these families initially, and we do invest in some sort of grant, some startup, which is necessary for them to be able to stabilize. And then we continually provide guidance and advice. And we make it very clear that, especially to the mothers and the people we work with, that we have our role in this, and you have your role. and your role is to work to better yourself and your family, and we support them through that. And I think I want to just pick up on one of the points in the reset process in that, and that's education. It's really to move from just kind of subsisting and just paying the bills, which is great. We need to get to that point, but then we need to move beyond it in order to thrive. And what's needed there is education, and that takes the form of business training and mentoring. We take every mama through a process of educating in business. And I can just tell you, recently, a new mama joined the team, and when we asked her, what she was able to do or what she would like to do to earn a living for her family, one of the things that she felt she was really good at was cooking and making food and sort of takeaways, fast food, snacks, that kind of thing for people. And there's quite a demand for it in the community. So we said, great. So things like making chips, deep frying chips and chicken, and making little donuts and pancakes and little chapatis, the famous chapati, it's like a flat bread. And so we sort of helped her connect with someone who could train her. And so she went through a training for about 2 weeks in how to do it, not only how to do the cooking, but also in how to manage, the balance a budget and price her products and all that kind of thing. So I guess that's where there's got to be an input there of education, and that kind of flips the switch from just subsisting to now moving into thriving.
Yeah, that's excellent. I had something that I want to add to that, and that is that now I've completely forgotten what I was going to add. Okay, so everybody, I'm now 58, and I have hearing aids thanks to my parents, and so with age comes these little foibles like completely forgetting your train of thought. Education is really important, and we do spend a lot of, if I can just kind of tag team with you there, Peter, we do spend a lot of time with our families. And actually, I now remember what I was going to say. We actually noticed in COVID that a number of the professions that the ladies were trained in were not allowed in lockdown. All of our hawkers are ladies who go door to door and sell clothes and buckets and whatever else they can find to sell. And those people were all forbidden to work. All the hawkers had to stop. But the people who were selling food, the two professions that were allowed to continue during lockdown were anything related to food, so a market of any kind or food sales, and anything to do with pharmacies, so the drugstores. And one of the things we noticed is that the two ladies we had in our group, one who had a small market on the side of a road, and one who was doing samosa and that kind of thing, building them and walking around the community selling that food, they were both allowed to work and had no problems through COVID. So we're aware now that we actually should be training the ladies in multiple professions, and we're going to try and build into the program some cross-training capabilities where one mama will teach what she knows to the other mamas, which will allow them to adjust as markets adjust or as circumstances require. Any comment on that, Peter?
Yeah, to be COVID proof, because it's been devastating for our mums who were trained. Like the hawking business was devastated. So they're extremely sort of resilient. So they have they've been able to kind of get by. But as you say, having multiple skills can enable them to keep working through crisis, COVID, hopefully, any kind of negative situation in the future.
So, Peter, during this time when we're strengthening these guys, they're learning to pay their bills
Right.
in a a real confident way. And I think
Right.
that that's something that I'd like the people here tonight to just understand is, once we've got the family working again, once the family's functioning, we need to go through a period of months where they simply learn to make it a repeatable process. Every month they're making money, they pay their bills. They, for instance, we teach them to pay their rent on a weekly basis. We get them a little bank account and help them to start saving, even if it's $1, here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're creating an environment where they truly believe in themselves that they're able to reproduce this on a regular basis. I have a question though for you, Peter, and that is, how on earth does a family survive on $90? Last week we talked about how about $98 Canadian was what we were expecting them in this first section, or in the earlier sections, to make each month in order to support themselves. How does that break down, and how does any human live on $90 Canadian?
Right. First of all, what is 90 Canadian dollars in British pounds, just for the UK, for the
Sorry,
UK audience?
it's
Do you know what that is?
got to be about 50 pounds.
Right. So it's not a lot at all. But the reality is the cost of living is different here, and it's generally a lot less, especially in our community of Kosovo. So what we've calculated and worked out that $90 Canadian is about 250,000 shillings, Uganda shillings. And that breaks down in the following way. About 80,000 is used per month for rent. And this is normally a single room, a 10 feet by 10 feet room with a roof and maybe no window, just a door. And 150,000 then goes on food. 150,000 Uganda shillings on essential food. And then that leaves only about 20,000 shillings left over for other minor, I guess, things like airtime on a phone or electricity. It's not a lot. And so once a family is able to regularly produce this, then we take them for a number of months where they're able to do this. And this has obviously got to increase over time. And that's basically what happens.
Sorry.
Andrew, does that
Yeah,
answer your
no,
question?
that's good. I appreciate it. I looked up the UK pounds. That's about 57 UK pounds for those of you who are in the UK. So tonight we're talking about how we move from that point, though. Once they're confident in that situation, we need to move them on and help them to learn to thrive. And I just want to introduce Stella. So we have about 10 families right now in the community that we're working with, and it's a continuum. There's some people that are still working hard in the early phases, and there are a number of people who are pushing closer to that, the later parts of this. We have a particular part of the process we call new capacity, where we want to take a confident, working, functioning family that's making 250,000 or more per month, and we want to develop. We literally want to double their income. And at this point, our work is no longer charitable at all. Peter, do you want to just take a moment and talk about what happens there?
In new capacity.
Yeah.
So essentially what happens is a business proposal is put on the table that we look at, and we study it, and we say, how can we help this mama double her income, increase her revenue? And we look at the business. Essentially, it's about improving, enhancing her current business that she's already started, or that we started at the beginning. And so that takes the form of a loan, and we make that very clear that this is money loaned and it has to be paid back. And so the mama has to work extra hard so what's happening is she's not we're not taking away from what she's already earning, what she's already doing. So she still earns, but on top of what she's earning, since her income is increased, she's also got to be able to pay back the loan. So essentially, it's a loan, a small micro loan that steps up the business to the next level.
So I wanna just jump into another movie quickly, and talk to just show you Stella. Stella is one of our. She's the person that's in New Capacity right now. She's done her first iteration of a project, a business project to double her wage. And what we're aware of in all of these situations is most of these ladies have never done business. They've, they're learning, and we're aware that it may take several iterations in order to get them through New Capacity. I'm going to introduce you to Stella through a little video, and then I'll come back and just talk about how that happened for her. Everything you need. Come and see.
Yes.
So it's pretty cool. I love seeing Stella. She's so happy there. So um, the architecture of Stella's New Capacity project was actually twofold. The first thing she voiced is, so I should just back up and say that Stella is a hawker. She goes door to door, and what she sells is children's clothes. And she's done really well. She's not only made the 250,000 shillings, $98 Canadian that she needs each month to successfully operate her family, but she's saved some money, and she voiced an interest in learning sewing, which dovetails with the work she's doing, selling clothes. And so we decided, okay, let's, as part of the New Capacity, or even pre-New Capacity, let's introduce the sewing machine and some training. And my mom and dad I was really blessed. They just said, we'd like to pay for the sewing machine. So they gave us the money to go and get her not any sewing machine, but a really good one that was going to last. And Stella started to learn to sew. We actually hired somebody and allowed Stella, when she was not hawking, to go and take classes. Now, what that did was it took her hawking to the next level, because when she bought clothes to retail, she was able to buy some clothes that just needed a repair. So, a perfectly good shirt, a t-shirt, something like this, but maybe it had a seam that needed some help. And she was able to correct that situation and sell it for more money. And then her actual New Capacity project, in the way we strengthen her, the way we double that income and strengthen her economic situation, is we give her a loan to buy clothes in bulk. So we have these things which we call it's a bag of clothes. It's like a giant marshmallow. They shrink wrap these things and they ship them around the world. And when you buy a shrink wrapped load of clothes, there's like maybe 500 to 600 pieces of clothes in there. And what the business plan that Stella came to us with is, if she could buy clothes at that level, she would pay far less for them, and then her profit would go up dramatically. And we thought, okay, that makes sense. So a bundle of clothes like that was worth about 1.2 million shillings, which in Canadian dollars is, I don't know, $400 or $500. And so we fronted that money, again, remembering that's a loan. And she bought it. She ended up with 512 pieces of clothes. Now, in this bundle, some of these clothes are premium clothes. They're really good, and she can sell them. And she had regular customers by now. She could phone and say, hey, I have something you want to see. But of course, she paid a lot less for them, so her margin was better. And then some of the clothes maybe needed a little repair, and her sewing, she was able through the sewing to repair those and go and sell. And then some of the clothes weren't, anything better than what she gets anywhere else, and she would just sell those on to make margin. Now, she did an iteration of this. Actually, she's just completing her first iteration. It's taken a long time because COVID has stopped her for many months from doing any work, but she was able to um, within months repay the loan. So the 1.2 million shillings that were paid out or loaned to her were back in the bank within a few months, and she's already been able to continue to support her family, as well as put a little bit of extra revenue aside. And there's still Peter, maybe you can just remind me. I think she's got I think at this point I'm sorry. I think at this point she's got less than 100 pieces of clothes left to sell.
It wouldn't surprise me if she's already done with it. I think
Yeah, you
I
could be
think
right.
she's
So
done.
so in this case, we'll do another iteration. Now, one of the things that each time we do an iteration with her, we're learning things. We're learning how she thinks, and hence, how other ladies will think. We we saw a lot of excitement at first, and I think she didn't make as good use of the very high end clothes in that bundle. I think she got some very loyal customers out of it, but she didn't get the margin out of it that she should have. So she didn't make quite as much as we were hoping. She did make a profit. She did pay back like all the core mission of the new capacity project were a success, but she didn't make as much revenue as we had hoped. And one of the key things here, folks, with one of these projects is we can do it a few times. We basically do it until they can stand on their own. So in the case of Stella, we loaned her 1.2. We expect to do this 2 or 3 times with her. And by the time we've done it 2 or 3 times, she should make enough revenue that she has 1.2 of her own money. And we no longer need to be there. She can go and buy a bundle of clothes with her own capital. And, therein lies the point where we see this family as thriving. That's a point where not only has she been educated, but she now has the funds because she's got the capital and what she's selling. She can make more money, and one of our primary goals for that family being able to make more money is so that the children can be put in school. School will cost about 50,000 per child per month. So if she's got 4 children, she needs to have about 200,000. What is that? About $80 to get them into school, which is a primary goal. So I'm hoping we've developed, the concept for you at this point, where the family is reunited. We go through a process of starting up a small business and stabilizing that family. They then learn to repeatedly and reliably uh, pay their bills, pay for food, and even save just a little bit. And as they become confident, we then start talking to them about, okay, if we made you a loan, how could you grow this and double the capacity? Which is why we call it new capacity. And then we walk through that process. Now, of the 10 families that we're working with right now, there's 3 or 4. One Stella is actually in new capacity, and there's 2 or 3 more who are very, very close to launching. They're in the process now of thinking, how do I do this? One lady who sells bananas. That's all she does is sell bananas, really. But she's very good at it, and she's looking at hiring a truck and going into the villages and buying bananas far cheaper and bringing them back in bulk. And in so doing, she would increase the margins that she can make. So each lady will have a slightly different twist. Some of them will build the business they have. Some of them may begin a second business. But the end game here is that they can stand on their own 2 feet. They no longer require a rise to bring them along. And the children are in school, and this family is thriving. So I wanted to just end today. We're kind of it's 7:30, and we try to keep these things to about half an hour. So I just want to comment that it takes about $3,000 to reset a family. To take a situation where we've met kids in the streets of Kosovo, there is no parent, and by the time we've helped them with whatever their needs are at that particular moment, and found some respite care for them, and tracked down the mother and sent somebody to negotiate with her and help her see that she needs to come back with her kids, and then work alongside that family to get a business started, and mature that business to the new capacity possibility phase, and then grow that business and have them stand on their own 2 feet. That's the proposition there. The value proposition is that for about $3,000 is what that costs, and that broken family has now been reset and can stand on their own 2 feet, and those children are no longer in danger of being left alone. They're no longer vulnerable by themselves. So I hope that's been interesting and useful. I'm just going to scan the comments quick here. Peter, you got any last comments while I check out what's going on Facebook? Maybe somebody has some questions.
Yeah, fire some questions if they're there.
I'd sure love to hear in the comments too if you guys like this work and like how we put it together. We've tried to engineer this carefully so that it's well thought through and repeatable. So it's becoming a well-oiled process. Yeah, Ginny, Stella's amazing. It's pretty neat. Thanks for the comments, guys. Oh, Brian. Hello, Brian. Yes, tonight is being recorded. So it'll be here in the group after we're finished. Patty says, it's like you're raising a family. It's exactly what's going on. That's a good situation, or that's a good description. The family reset is, there's just, I don't even know where to begin, but we expect that about 50% of the families will need some kind of restart. They'll fail the first time they start up a business. About half the time they have been married young, they've lack education, they have very little business skills typically, they're timid, and you do have to walk alongside them and mentor them in order to get them to the point where, remember, what we're looking for is confident people, not just people who are surviving, but people who are thriving are confident that they can do their work. Yeah, Stella's story is very encouraging. So I guess that's about it. Thank you for all your comments, and I'll be going through and answering some of those questions in a few minutes. We're just so thankful that you came. Peter and I work in the same office together. He's from the UK and I'm from Canada, and we have a team of 2 social workers who are local people who speak the local language, and Peter and I. And the work is challenging at times. People are challenging, and people in desperate situations are even more challenging. But we are blown away by the help that we see come through you guys, through people who are supporting us and the work we do. So thank you very much to all the people in the UK and all the people in Canada, probably some people in the US too, who joined us tonight. Thank you, Peter, for getting up at 4:30 in the morning to come and join us.
Anything for you. anything for these mamas. It's great.
Okay. We'll see you soon, people. We'll do another broadcast very soon.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.